Morocco, of course, flew Africa's flag sky high yesterday when they defeated Netherlands on penalties in the round of 32 fixture to move past the Orania and qualify for the round of 16. So it is time for Morocco to completely master the art of giant killing after their exceedingly triumphant performances in 2022. They have continued that rich vein of form in 2026, gaining 7 points in a group that had Brazil and Scotland. So it's been an interesting tournament for the Atlas Lions of Mohamed Obi, and we have to credit everything positive that has come out of their performances to the coach, who did very well leading the Moroccan under 20 team to their first ever FIFA triumph in 2025. The Moroccan under 20 team won their first ever FIFA under 20 tournament last year, and that of course gave him the job after Wahid Regragui decided or chose to resign after the Nations Cup, which was controversially handed to Morocco in an aftermath action or decision taken by the disciplinary committee or ethics committee of CAF. All right. With this, we'll welcome you to Sports Grandeur on OJ 106.3 FM Benin. My name is Ohis Eboreme, and as usual, I am here to bring you the latest news and information on sporting activities the world over. Like we said before, the Atlas Lions defeated the Orania on penalties to scale through to the round of 16 of the FIFA World Cup. That hurdle has been scaled by the Atlas Lions. Unfortunately, Netherlands couldn't muster any threat whatsoever, even though the grieving Cody Gakpo, he lost his son. His partner had a miscarriage, but he decided to stay with the Netherlands national team. He opened scoring yesterday until Cheslin Teribi actually assisted Issa Diop. Issa Diop chose to represent the country of his mother's birth, Morocco, rather than Senegal, where his father is originally from, and France. France decided not to call him up, of course. That's where he was born. So he decided to start representing Morocco, and look how it has turned out. In the last minute of normal time, I think it was even injury time, that he scored that equalizer to keep hope alive for the Moroccan national. And at the end, Morocco won via penalties, and guess who decided the shootout? Ismail Ismail Saibari decided the shootout. Ismail Saibari, we will recall, has been signed by Bayern Munich. Well, not made official yet, but everything all but done. 55 million euros from PSV Eindhoven, most informed African player currently, and a shoo-in, of course, for probably the 2026 African Player of the Year by virtue of his World Cup performances thus far. He scored in every group stage game. He scored against Brazil, scored against Scotland, and also scored against Haiti. So it has been very, very good for Ismail Saibari in this tournament. Almost impeccable, really. He hasn't put a foot wrong. Everything he has touched has turned to gold. And Morocco defeated Netherlands via penalties. Congratulations to Morocco. Brazil started the round of 32 fixtures yesterday by overcoming the Samurai Blue of Japan. Of course, they had to do it the hard way again, coming from a goal down in the first half to defeat Japan after that injury time goal by Arsenal's Gabriel Martinelli, who came in for Manchester United's Matheus Cunha. A Manchester United player scored the equalizer. A former Manchester United player scored the equalizer for the Seleção, and the person of Casemiro, and he was assisted by an Arsenal player, Gabriel. So Brazil, under the quite composed Carlo Ancelotti, defeated Japan by 2 goals to 1. Unfortunately, that terrible run of never winning a knockout game in World Cup history continues for Japan. They actually are a very good team. They start well, but they don't know how to finish just as well. So Brazil in the round of 16, and France will be facing Paraguay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. France have to play Sweden, but on paper they are heavy favorites to qualify for the round of 16. So either France or Sweden will be facing Albiroja after they surprisingly, astonishingly defeated the Mannschaft on penalties. Well, Julio Enciso actually scored the opener in that encounter after converting a Matias Garza cross to head home for the Albiroja. And Albiroja led 1-0 until Florian Wirtz assisted Kai Havertz for the equalizer, but Germany ultimately undone by misses by Jonathan Tah, especially in the penalty shootouts. That's after Kai Havertz and Nick Waltemada, who ply their trades in the Premier League with Arsenal and Newcastle respectively, missed their spot kicks respectively. Well, honestly, it was surprising all through the night. Paraguay qualifying instead of Germany, and Morocco deservedly qualifying instead of the Netherlands. Germany disjointed, haven't exactly done anything worthy of note since they hoisted their 4th World Cup in 2014. We remember that golden goal by Mario Götze against Lionel Messi's Argentina. And since 2014, 1822, 2018 in Russia, they couldn't get past the group stage. 2022 in Qatar, they met the same fate, unfortunately. And in 2026, they won their group, even though they lost their last group game to Ecuador. But eventually, their terrible form. They actually had only one good game in this World Cup, and that was against Rosal, who were the whipping boys of the group practically, and they won 7-1. They played the swagger. Everyone thought, oh, okay, the German machine are back. Unfortunately, Julian Nagelsmann has a lot of questions to answer and a lot of answers to give, because Bild already released a stinker on Julian Nagelsmann. A lot of former German internationals such as Anne Friedrich, Thomas Hitzelsberger and others have questioned the managerial credibility and credentials of Julian Nagelsmann after ultimately being booted out of the World Cup in the round of 32 by Paraguay. He himself said it during the press conference that it was a tough loss to stomach. Well, it is what it is, and Albiroja will be waiting for the winner of France versus Sweden. What next for Germany? They have a very good squad. Manuel Neuer performed terribly in this tournament. I am sure Julian Nagelsmann will be having second thoughts on why he actually called or recalled the veteran goalkeeper, because I am sure that other goalkeepers younger would have done a better job. Well, he is a legend in his own right, but unfortunately in this tournament he was a disaster. Anyways, Germany will be looking ahead to 2028 for the Euros, but right now they have to go back home and lick their wounds. All the World Cup stars, the shiny guys like Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala, who converted this penalty kick, of course, will be looking at doing very well in the next World Cup. These guys are still young, the likes of Nathaniel Brown, but the aging guys like Antonio Rudiger will be thinking, well, probably their last World Cup appearance, but who knows? There are 41-year-olds, 40-year-olds in this World Cup, so never say never. All right. So for the World Cup. It has been incredible. Brazil qualified to the round of 16. Morocco qualified to the round of 16. And Paraguay qualified to the round of 16, 32. So after the round of 32 encounters yesterday, they have qualified to the round of 16. So for today's games, which start this evening in the FIFA World Cup, we'll be looking at fixtures such as Cote d'Ivoire, Norway. Cote d'Ivoire, of course, the Elephants will be facing the Grass Stallions of Norway, who are also called the Drillers, under uh, celebrating their former coach, their legendary coach, Elgin Olsen, aka Drillo. All right, so Norway will be recalling the likes of Erling Haaland, Martin Odegaard, and Alexander Sørloth into the starting 11 after they were well rested against France. Well, Erling Haaland strikes fear into any defense. Any defense in the world. Is one of the most lethal strikers in the world. Definitely world class. So let's see if the Ivory Coast can hold their own against Norway, another African representative at the World Cup, who have done very well, qualified in second place with 6 points. Of course, I think that it was basically a goal difference and head-to-head, really, and they did very well. France and Sweden will follow suit. Didier Deschamps is back, of course, and he will be leading the French team out against the Swedes. The Swedes are managed by Graham Potter. I'm sure we cannot forget Graham Potter so soon or hurriedly. France versus Sweden. Let's see how that goes. France are heavy favorites even to win the World Cup. Look at the odds. On a continuous basis, the odds continue to favor France. All right. The next match after France Sweden will be Mexico Ecuador. One of the hosts of the FIFA World Cup will be facing Ecuador. Ecuador, we announced yesterday that they have a new captain in Moises Caicedo, who plays for Chelsea. Of course, Enner Valencia has relinquished the armband to Moises Caicedo, who is the new skipper of the national team of Ecuador, and they will be facing Mexico at 2 a.m. Nigerian time tomorrow. So for the World Cup, we can do a preview of France versus Sweden. We know for France, they have scored so many goals, 10 goals in total in the group stage. That is the highest number of goals they've scored since France 98 as well in the group stage. And in France 98, they won their 3 group games. In 2026, they've also won their 3 group games. The coach of France was the captain of France in France 98 when France defeated Brazil 3-0 in the final, courtesy of his Zinedine Zidane double header. And Didier Deschamps will be looking to equal the World Cup winning record, 16 matches won by Helmut Schön of Germany. So if Didier Deschamps defeats Sweden with his boys today, he will equal the all-time winning record by a manager in World Cup history. What a journey for the ex-Marseille manager. All right, while he's continuously grieving after losing his mother, he will be looking to get the job done for France. Let us not forget that he just came off short in the final of 2022. If not, he would have been a back-to-back World Cup champion as a coach after hoisting it as a player and the captain of the French national team in '98. He also won Euro 2000 as captain under Roger Lemaire. And Roger Lemaire's assistant in that tournament is his current assistant today, Gilles Stéphane. So that is football. Who actually writes these scripts? France, we know the caliber of players they possess. We know the firepower they have. We know Kylian Mbappe, who has 16 World Cup goals, 4 in this tournament already. Ousmane Dembele equaled that, 4 as well, scored a hat-trick against France. 2 of those goals were assisted by Kylian Mbappe. Before we continue on the France-Sweden preview, let us talk about the Brazilian assist king, Bruno Guimaraes, who has had 4 assists so far in this World Cup tournament. It was a very eye-catching pass to Gabriel Martinelli in injury time to seal Brazil's place in the round of 16. That was a brilliant performance from the Newcastle midfielder, who is increasing his stock rapidly. His stock is rising rapidly, and that is a good one for Newcastle, because they hope to cash in on him, as well as others such as Sandro Tonali, who has been courted all summer by Tottenham and other clubs. But Tottenham are actually right now leading the race for the signing of Sandro Tonali. So yeah, looking at France, again, we'll continue to talk about France and Sweden for the next 5 minutes. France, they have Mike Maignan in goal. They have that defense, that strong defense of David Upamecano. David Upamecano is doing quite well, because in the tournament, Bayern Munich defender playing very well. They have Theo Hernandez, who left AC Milan to the Saudi League and hasn't lost any of his brilliance at all. No sign of slowing down for him. And Jules Koundé, who plays for Barcelona, is right back for them. And they have Aurelien Tchouameni and Adrien Rabiot. No matter what happens, no matter who is coming up, no matter who is breaking into the team, Adrien Rabiot will always be a favorite of the coach Didier Deschamps. We remember Blaise Matuidi. Let us not discount how good he was. The performance level was very high. Did absolutely well when he had to turn up for France. But we have favorites of managers, and Adrien Rabiot, whether he's in a good form or a rich vein of form, or in a bad run of form, he will always get that call up, and not just get called up, he will always start for France. So right now, in the French midfield, Adrien Rabiot actually partners Aurelien Tchouameni, and in attack, it's a 4-pronged attack. So when you see them, they're devastating, they're delightful. They are pacey, speedy, intelligent, classy. Kylian Mbappe, Real Madrid striker, has won the Pichichi in the last 2 seasons. Pichichi is the highest goal scorer in the Spanish La Liga. He's won it over the last 2 seasons. And Ousmane Dembele is the current Ballon d'Or winner. Desiree Doué is either starting or is on the bench. Bradley Barcola is an able deputy, and we have no one but Michael Olise, the one and only Michael Olise, most informed player in that team, Bayern Munich's player of the season for the 2nd consecutive season. But let's not forget that if we're naming all these guys from France, there are people on the bench who are just as good, right? We have Marcus Thuram, who hasn't featured as much as he would want, or he would have wanted. And the likes of young Philippe Mateta, who is an Eagle, plays for Crystal Palace. As well is that Monaco dazzling forward who is looking all but set to sign for PSG. So many players on the bench. N'Golo Kante is an experienced midfielder, did very well for France in that 2018 World Cup winning team. Even though he sits on the bench now, he can contribute when called upon. But for Sweden, they have a very good squad as well. I always mention those 2 strikers, Alexander Isak and Victor Gyökeres. They also have Yasin Ayari. They have Anthony Elanga, who is like their trump card now. When things get so difficult, tight, they bring him in. In the last 2 games, we have seen what he has done. He scored that consolation goal against the Oranje, who are out of the tournament, and he scored that brilliant equalizer against Japan. So let's see what they bring to the table versus France. France is a different ball game entirely, an upgrade with all due respect to the Samurai, an upgrade on Japan. So let us see what Sweden can do. Can they upset the odds? It remains to be seen. Punters will be licking their lips at the prospect of a Sweden upset. So let us see how that pans out for France and Sweden this evening. All right. So, well, Ivory Coast will also be facing a daunting task against Norway, the Grass Stallions. Norway, because they have Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland, I think we have run out of superlatives for that man. He scored 59 goals in 52 games for Norway. I mean, who does that? Who was the last player to score more goals than he has featured in games for his national team? Get that Bomba Muller, the German football legend, highest goal scorer in Bundesliga history. Cristiano hasn't done it. He did it for Real, of course, but he hasn't done it for the national team. It is incredible, almost unbelievable that there is a player who has scored more games than he has featured in games for any team. Talk more of at international level, right? So Erling Haaland is clear, a very brilliant player. 24 goals in his last 12 games for Norway, 59 in 52 in total in his career for the Drillers. It is going to be an uphill task for Ivory Coast, but if they take their chances, Yan Diomande, that teenage prospect who has decided to go to PSG, is always a threat. Is always a threat. Manchester United's Amad Diallo is there. Nicolas Pepe, who once featured for Arsenal but is now at Villarreal, the Yellow Submarine, is there. There are so many guys who can, of course, do the damage versus Norway, but let's see how that goes for Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast, they need a strong performance, a follow-up performance after what they did to qualify, dominating Huracao and Nicolas Pepe brace. Let us see how they are going to perform against the Norwegians. So that is how we expect things to go from our perspective. Some tennis news. Wimbledon started yesterday. Of course, not a good day for the Brits, hosting a tennis tournament, the most prestigious tennis tournament anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world, the most prestigious tennis tournament is Wimbledon. A lot of people have won it many times. Novak Djokovic, Serena Williams, Roger Federer, looking at 7. I'm calling 7 and 8-time winners. There's a 9-time winner, right? There are people who have won this tournament more times than some have even featured, right, in them. So unfortunately, Carlos Alcaraz is missing again because he is still trying to recover from that injury that has kept him out of the ATP circuit for the best part of 4 months. The current Australian Open champion who completed his career Grand Slam in Melbourne. That fantastic victory over Novak Djokovic. In fact, inflicted that first defeat in finals on Novak Djokovic. Cannot feature, still nursing that injury. He's still world number 2 despite the fact that he's been absent for 4 months. It shows how thin the competition is actually in men's tennis. Incredibly, Novak Djokovic is still performing, still doing very well. So let us quickly go through the results from yesterday in women's singles and men's singles. Belinda Bencic, the Swiss, defeated Stochasvili by 6-2, 6-1. Well, she actually ran through that match. Ivajovic defeated Kristen in straights, 7-6, Six Love. She baggled her actually. Unfortunately for her opponent, nobody wants to actually eat a bagel. But yeah, you gotta take it. You gotta take it. And in other matches, Dan Parry defeated Jones by 4-6-4. Two tight sets. Otupova lost to Buzos 6-2, 6-3. Some well-known names have fallen at first hurdle at Wimbledon. Yesterday in the men's singles, Casper Ruud, who doesn't do quite well on grass, was defeated by Hubert Hurkacz. I think Casper Ruud's favorite surfaces are clay and hard because he's reached Grand Slam finals at the US Open and at the French Open, lost to a certain Rafael Nadal at the 2022 French Open final, or in the 2022 French Open final. So we just run through some. Coco Gauff. Of course, Coco Gauff is a well-known tennis player, quite young, has won 2 Grand Slam tournaments already, and in the 2 finals, she has defeated Arina Sabalenka. She defeated her in the US Open final and also in the French Open final. She defeated Kopacz 6-2, 6-3 in that 6-2, 6-1 in that match. And so Caroline Muchova also defeated Zakharova 6-3, 6-2. So Mira Andreeva, who is a first-time Grand Slam champion, won her match as well in straights. Darius Yastramenka also won her first match as well. So we're going to also look at the men's singles at Wimbledon, because Novak Djokovic also won his match. It was a tight 4-setter, but he emerged. Experience counted in the end because his opponent failed to take advantage of the breakpoint opportunities that he was given by the 23-time, listen to me, the 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic, because he's 2 ahead of Rafael Nadal. Rafa has won 22, Roger Federer has won 20, Novak Djokovic has won 24 Grand Slam titles. He's looking for his 25th Grand Slam title, which has eluded him so far. And before the tournament commenced, he had a little chat with a certain Serena Williams, who has won a Grand Slam title 23 times in her career. So 47 Grand Slam titles on the training pitch, having champions discussions and discussion of champions. They've also won all Grand Slam titles on offer at least once. So those guys are in a league of their own. Brandon Nakashima defeated Parenton Jones in 3 sets, because we know, for those who know the tennis rules, for the men in the Grand Slam play, it is 5 sets, and for the women it is 3 sets. So it is always a longer stretch for the men. So for Brandon Nakashima won that match in straights. All right. So also, De Jong defeated Hijikata in straights as well. No need to talk about the scores. Novak Djokovic, like we have been talking, or like we have been saying, defeated Will in 4 sets. It was a scare for the great Seb, but as usual, he scaled through that. And guess who he is facing in round 2? A certain Greek, Stefanos Tsitsipas, who has fallen off that pedestal of the hierarchy of great players over the last 3 or 4 years. Hasn't found that form took him to tennis prosperity in 2019, 20 and 21. So if he can rediscover his spark, I'm sure that he's almost certain to try to win a slam. And that generation, only Daniil Medvedev and Alexander Zverev very recently have won a slam, and with all the talent at his disposal, the skills and the repertoire, he should be able to mount a serious challenge, go on that run that will enable him to break his Grand Slam duck. Fergie Auger-Aliassime, who is a consistent top 10er now, defeated Alex Shevchenko in straights as well. It was a very, very good performance. And the recent Grand Slam champion who lost his first 5 ATP finals and eventually won his sixth, Alexander Davidovich Fokina, actually defeated Juan Cherundolo after coming off that tournament victory yesterday at after he won his maiden tournament in Mallorca. He defeated Juan Cherundolo in straight sets as well. All right, so other matches, which other selected matches, Daniil Medvedev in the clash of Grand Slam champions, former US Open champions. Daniil Medvedev made easy pickings of Marin Cilic, who has refused to retire. Of course, people older than him are still competing, so why not Marin? But well, he lost woefully to Daniil Medvedev, who had 8 breakpoint opportunities and took 7 of them in a 6-1, 6-2, 6-4 win. Fabian Marzan also won his match. Stefanos Tsitsipas, a few days after disconnecting from his father, who doubles as his coach, defeated Hugo Gaston in straight sets. Jan-Lennart Struff defeated Sebastian Baez in 5 quality sets, and Kwon defeated Landulis in straights. Ethan Quinn also defeated Lucas Danderi in straights. All right, so those are some selected matches. João Fonseca also won his match against Roberto Bautista in straights. Nuno Borges of Portugal also won his match against Boya in straights. Arthur Kech won his match in straights as well. World number 1 Yannick Sinner would have been in unwanted territory with Lleyton Hewitt, to becoming another defending champion, to have lost at the first hurdle trying to defend his Grand Slam title. But it was a scare of well, Yannick came through this match yesterday in 5 grueling sets. Lost the first set, lost the third set in the tiebreak, but eventually steamrolled Matic Kekmanovic in the last 2 sets to actually qualify for the second round. Sebastian Ofner also won his match, and Tommy Paul won his match as well. Rafael Jordan, the guy who reached the quarterfinals of the French Open at first try, also won his match as well. So let's look at fixtures for today at Wimbledon. All right, so fixtures for today at Wimbledon. Wimbledon continues. Its Grand Slam tournaments are always going for 2 weeks, so it's always an interesting one for fans and, well, critics alike. All right, so for today, so many matches have already begun, but let's see. Adriano Marino, who always saves his best for grass, is currently leading, in fact serving for the first set against Dage, and Jan Hoffman is playing Giovanni Mpetsi Pericard, and that match is in the first set as we speak. So many matches are currently going on at Wimbledon. Matteo Arnaldi, who unfortunately had to retire, we remember, in the French Open semi-final against his countryman and compatriot Flavio Cobolli. He's going to play later today against Quentin Hales. The Demon, Alex de Minaur, will be playing Brochaga, and Jeremy Mona will be playing Francisco Cherundolo. Benjamin Bonzi will be playing Diallo, and Karen Khachanov will be playing Harris. Taylor Fritz, who does very well on grass as well, will be playing Dusan Lajovic. All right, Hugo Humbert will also be playing his match against Zubegs, who is a recent ATP champion. Arthur Fils will also be playing Cullinan. Lorenzo Sonego will be playing Thomas Echeverry as well. All right, these are just selected matches. So many matches will be going on at Wimbledon. It's just the first round. So recent Grand Slam champion, the champion of Roland Garros, Alexander Zverev, world number 3, will be playing blocks as well. Flavio Cobolli will be playing Marion Lavon, as well. Flavio Koboli was the finalist and the beating finalist in that French Open final. Frances Tiafoe, who defeated Taylor Fritz, will in the last final, of course, the last grass final they played, will also be featuring today. But there is a very, very good match today. Three-time Grand Slam champion Stanislas Wawrinka, affectionately called Stan the Man. Let's not forget how stellar his career has been. He's won 3 Grand Slam champions, defeating Rafael Nadal at the Australian Open in 2014, Novak Djokovic at the French Open in 2015, and Novak Djokovic again at the US Open in 2016. This is his swan song year. He wants to retire and retire on a high, the way Sorana Sister is doing at WTA level. The twilight of their careers, they want to live on a high. And Stan Wawrinka will be facing off Matteo Berrettini, the Italian former consistent top tenor, ravaged and plagued by injuries. It is going to be a very, very good match and eagerly anticipated. All right, Ryan Lehechka will be playing against Alexander Popyrin. Taylor Fritz Jack Draper was cancelled because Jack Draper withdrew from Wimbledon at the last minute, calling off his showing at the tournament because he's plagued by injuries. So sad for him. He's got that talent and he can't effectively put it to use because injuries haven't allowed him to do what he can do best. All right, so for the women, we are looking at some selected matches. So we cannot just talk about all the matches. Sofia Kenin, the Grand Slam champion, is actually playing right now. Maria Sakkari is playing right now. Madison Keys, who has won a Grand Slam as well last year, defeating Aryna Sabalenka in the Australian Open final, is currently playing. Caroline Pliskova, former world number 1, is serving for the first set against Valentova. Yeah, so many matches will be going on. Naomi Osaka also won yesterday. We know her fashion statement. Former world number 1, 4-time Grand Slam champion, has won all her Grand Slams on hard. 2 times at the Australian Open, 2 times at the US Open. So evenly distributed. But she wants to do well on other surfaces such as grass and clay. All right. So Beda Damia will be playing as well. We know what Swiatek, Iga Swiatek, brings to the table. She's a 6-time Grand Slam champion and the current defending champion at Wimbledon. So she defends her title at Wimbledon. Paula Badosa is back in form. Former world number 2 has stressed about her relationship. Topsy-turvy, toxic. She referred to her previous relationship with Stefanos Tsitsipas, a fellow tennis player, as toxic, and I think she has put that well behind her. She is doing very, very well right now. Has returned to form, beat Coco Gauff in one of warm-up tournaments. Well, competitive tournaments pre-Wimbledon. So Elina Svitolina, who has resurged after the birth of daughter Kai, she's married to another tennis player, Guy Monfils, who is calling time on his professional career this year. Svitolina plays against Snigo later today. Alex Erla, who is a graduate of the Rafael Nadal Academy and went on that lazy run defeating Svitolina Rybakina, is going to be playing against Zerezua. All right, Cathy McNally and Elise Mertens will also be playing against the likes of Rus and Lara Segamon. All right, so Sorana Sistia, who is doing very well in her twilight here, will also be playing from Bezek as well. Elina Rybakina has lost form, of course, lost ground on the world number 1 battle with Aryna Sabalenka over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Not like Sabalenka has gained any ground as well, but they are looking at the back and forth form losses, and let's see what they can do at Wimbledon. Sabalenka has it all to do. Since she has been holding that number 1 title, she has lost too many Grand Slams for comfort, and she's a a three-time Grand Slam champion. Well, let us see what she can do. She's won Australian Open, US Open twice, respectively. So she's won the 4 Grand Slam titles, but she's lost too many Grand Slam titles as well. She lost recently this year to Elena Rybakina at the Australian Open. All right, so those are some of the matches. Donna Vekic will also be playing against Korda. Marta Kostyuk will also be playing against Podroska. Those are some of the matches that will be going on at Wimbledon today. So many matches because it is still early doors at Wimbledon, which is affectionately called SW19. Let's not forget that very soon Venus and Serena Williams will be starting their doubles campaign at Wimbledon. Serena also has a wild card at Wimbledon, a singles wild card, and let's see how she can perform just a month or so after coming out of retirement. For transfer news, Elliot Anderson is all but a Manchester City player at the moment, right? I think he just needs to sign or put pen to paper on a long-term deal. It's a British record. That's what Evangelos Marinakis of Nottingham Forest wanted, and he got his. Well, his wish was granted, and £116 million to lure away Elliot Anderson to Etihad. All right, so Elliot Anderson will be playing for Manchester City next season. That is almost certain, barring any unforeseen circumstance. That is the case. So right now, he's the British record signing is actually done well. We know how overpriced and overhyped all these British players are, but there are a few who have been world class over the years. Michael Owen, probably the best teenager I've seen in recent memory. Maybe Kylian Mbappe can also argue in his favor, but Michael Owen, 2001 Ballon d'Or, won the European Footballer of the Year award in 2001. Sorry, when Liverpool won pretty much all titles on offer except the biggest one, the Premier League. They won the Worthington Cup, which Sir Alex Ferguson labeled not worth it at that time. They defeated Deportivo Alaves 5-4 in the UEFA Cup. They won all domestic trophies on offer, and they won 4 or 5 trophies that season. I remember the FA Cup final that Michael Owen quickly turned around. Patrick Berger of Czech Republic, a legend, was pivotal, instrumental to that turnaround after Freddie Ljungberg put Arsenal ahead 25 years ago now, but still fresh. The memory is still fresh. So yeah, he won the 2001 Ballon d'Or. Wayne Rooney has also come out. Gary Lineker, who scored 10 World Cup goals and was hardly carded in his career, quite disciplined. So they've had Alan Shearer, King David Beckham. They've had some world-class players: Stevie Gerrard, Paul Scholes, Frank Lampard, right? So now they have Jude Bellingham, they have Harry Kane, they have. Can we say Bukayo Saka is world class? It's arguable. It's not it's not cast on stone. It's not clear, right? It is not something that you can just boldly say. So, but they've got some good guys who are currently playing for England. So Elliot Anderson, maybe he can continue in that fashion, in a rich vein of form, doing very well for England, did very well for Nottingham Forest, admittedly. £116 million. Maybe he deserves it, maybe he's worth it, but he has to prove that he's worth every penny as soon as the 2026-2027 season commences. Let's not forget that Manchester City will be looking to compete on all fronts because they qualified for the Champions League. Pep Guardiola didn't just leave them flat-footed. He left them with trophies as usual. He left them with the FA Cup trophy, left them with the Carabao Cup trophy as well. Just came up short in the Premier League. It was Mikel Arteta and Arsenal's time to win the Premier League, and they deservedly, don't get me wrong, they deservedly won the Premier League. Let's hope they can build on that. First time in 22 years. Of course, the longest run now belongs to Manchester United. That's how life is. Manchester United last won the Premier League since Alex Ferguson's final year in management, where he handed over inexplicably to David Moyes. That was the beginning of Manchester United's downfall. Some managers like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal have come, tried to steady the ship, won a few titles along the way. Mourinho won the Europa League, the Carabao Cup with Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Henrik Mkhitaryan, who is still playing, actually has renewed his contract at Inter Milan. Paul Abdul Pogba, who has experienced some terrible things in his career, drug-related, performance-related, fitness-related. Well, he's won a World Cup, so he can go and retire peacefully. Anyways, so that's for Manchester United. Right now, they are on a barren run. They have a barren spell, 13 years and counting without a Premier League title. Never happened when Fergie was the manager. Fergie never finished below third place in 26 years as a manager in the Premier League. Let's not forget that it is the Premier League in inverted commas. The Premier League started in 1992. In 26 seasons, he won 13 league titles and never finished below third place. So such bars are very high, set very high for anyone to try to eclipse in any way or fashion. So yeah, for Elliot Anderson, he is set to join the likes of Rodri, Erling Haaland, Antoine Semenyo, and just to mention that record signing has broken the record just for Manchester City. They secured the signature of Jack Grealish from Aston Villa for 100 million. He's currently languishing. Is he languishing? He's currently playing on loan at Everton. And the first few weeks of the just concluded season, he had a few assists. They said, the return of Jack Grealish. But after that, he was quiet for much of the season. And yeah. So when you buy a player for 100 million, you expect him to score 20 goals and assist 30 others. But yeah, it remains to be seen. Because for Elliot Anderson, he is a defensive midfielder who can also play maybe central midfield, not necessarily being all defensive, because we can leave that task for Rodri, who has been injury prone, has had an injury ravaged 2 years. He's a Ballon d'Or winner too. He was named ahead of Vinicius Junior as the recipient of the Ballon d'Or. So let's see what happens for the citizens under their new coach and Pep's anointed successor, Enzo Maresca. So the World Cup, like we said before, will continue today. Ivory Coast will be playing against Norway. That starts today's fixtures in the World Cup, closely followed, not immediately, but at 10 p.m. because Norway is at 6 p.m. At 10 p.m. France will be playing against Sweden. So stay tuned for all those matches. And tomorrow, I won't be here tomorrow, but on Thursday we'll be here to give you everything you need to know about the World Cup, Wimbledon, and every other sports related news. Thank you very much for staying with us. Don't forget to join us always on Facebook. We're live. On YouTube, we're live. OJ 106.3 FM Benin. It's Sports Grandeur on OJ 106.3 FM Benin. Thank you very much. Signing out. Cheers.